welcome to come there, and you can have some questions that will be answered right then and there instead of waiting and never get answered, most likely. But just to figure, put that in.
Very good. Thank you for the question. I think we have a lineup now, so please introduce yourself and direct your question to.
I'm Anna. I would like some clarifications about the aerodrome. I know there's a new next stage, next phase in the construction we're working out there, and I would like to know what council see as the goal with the aerodrome. There's 5, 6 airplanes up there, and how much is this going to cost? Who is paid for the job, the work that has already been done, and who is paying for the rest of the work that's supposed to be done?
Thank you for that question. Who would like to? Rob?
Yeah, I've been the liaison with the airport group now for a few years, and we had a contract with them. They had an annual budget of about $5,000, which wasn't huge. Obviously, they weren't taking any salaries out of that, and most of that money was spent on working up their weather station and their cameras so that pilots could go online and see what the weather was like in Kaslo. The fencing project. The materials were purchased with some grant funding, and the village crew deserves an incredible pat on the back for getting that job done. That was many, many hours of dry, dusty conditions up there to get that fence built. But security was identified as one of the #1 issues up there. As far as looking ahead to the future, the group that we're currently working with is restructuring. They're going to become a nonprofit, as far as I know. And the next project coming down the line is likely a survey of some description to survey out the individual hangars. There's been one new hangar built there this year, which is encouraging. That's probably the first one in about 10 years or so that's been built. So by surveying out some lots, we think that we might be able to encourage more people to build hangars up there.
Thank you, Rob. Anybody else on the aerodrome and your vision for it?
Yeah, thanks. The person that just built the hangar up there, they paid for it themselves, and they paid for a lease, and they were leasing space over in Cranbrook at about 5 times the cost, so they found it quite affordable to be there. And he's restoring 1947 Stinson. And there's a couple other antique airplanes up there, and I envision, you get one, you get more, you get a few more hangars up there, and you get a few more people interested in antique airplanes. And to me, it's just like any other association. They have an interest. They move to the community, they invest some money, they create some work, and every little bit counts, and they have taxation revenue. But I don't anticipate seeing, like Reno air shows there or anything like that.
Susan?
Yeah, what I see is that we keep working on the aerodrome to increase safety and improve safety, and as Pat had indicated, to get the ability to do medevac. I had a meeting with the new director for the BC ambulance service, and he wasn't aware that our aerodrome was as good as it was, and he suggested to Victoria that we were now should be able to look at Kaslo as an airplane evac versus just the helicopter. And we do have a setup at the end of the airstrip for the Forest Service for them to stage. So that is happening, maybe not on a large scale, but I don't see us having a large, not a large expansion of the airport. It'll never be, I don't think in any of our lifetime, it'll not be a winter-rated airport because it's too expensive to do that, and that is certainly not what this council and the airport management group was looking at. It was just improving the safety for the existing hangar owners and the visitors to our area.
Thank you. Any other comments on that before we move on to the next question? Thank you. I will say we probably have time for one or two more questions before we move towards closing statements. Please introduce yourself and if you want to direct your question to somebody.
Thanks, John. Thanks, everybody, for being here tonight. Really appreciate you coming out and answering questions for us. My name is Paul Grace Campbell, and I have a question just about the arts, culture, and heritage sector here in Kaslo, where we're blessed with having a lot of resources in that regard here. And there seems like there's a lot of potential to enhance that sector to be an important part of the economy here in Kaslo, to not only just for local enjoyment of arts and culture, but also as a way to bring people to Kaslo. So I'm just interested, and I'll put it out to anybody who would like to answer, what you feel the role of council would be to help enhance those assets, and if there's any specific initiatives or ideas you had regarding that, we'd love to hear them. Thank you.
Thank you. Arts, culture, and heritage. Susan.
I think the City Hall is a pretty good demonstration of how the village supports heritage. It was a long project to get the City Hall restored, but we're getting a lot of attention from that now because we have done that work. And we support a lot of arts groups, arts, heritage, and culture groups through our permissive tax exemptions. So that saves them a lot of money, not having to pay those taxes. And there's small ways we support them with grants when they ask. Other than that, there's not a lot we can do. Lots of our arts and culture organizations, not-for-profits, do enjoy very reasonable rents in our facilities. So I think we need to continue to support our arts and heritage and cultural organizations in that way.
Thank you. Let's go with Andy first, and then I see some more hands down here on arts, culture, and heritage.
So on Sunday I was talking to someone on the doorstep about the fact that he'd written a 50-page proposal to the Historical Society to do some kind of historical theatre throughout the summer for when the tourists come here. A bit like Barkerville or Fort Steele. We have a long history in this area, dating back to the 1890s, and a number of people have written books. So how do we enhance the tourism and make this more of a destination resort? That's one way of doing it. So I'd be really interested to explore those ideas. How about dinner theatre? How about more music? Those kinds of arts and cultural things. That's where I think we should be looking. Use the talents we've already got in the community. We have so many artists in this community. How can we help them and work with them to make the economy grow in that area?
Thank you, Andy.
I think as Mayor Hewitt,
Please, Molly.
as Mayor Hewitt said, there's roles that council plays in supporting organizations like arts and heritage. A few years ago, we changed the definition of what recreation was, so that it wasn't only sports. It was what people, use to calm down or to appreciate. And so arts and heritage does fall under that now. So they can apply for grants to do things like bring the Concert Society people in. We try to give organizations, tax-free so that they can run their programs without having a big overhead. That's another thing that can go into the OCP. That was something that when we started the OCP process, that was a big conversation about arts and heritage. So, when that document gets amended or opened up, you can put more stuff about the arts and heritage in there. And like, Andy was saying as well, there's a lot of history, there's a lot of culture in our community. The Langham is an excellent example of the kind of cultural activities. And so council supports those things in ways that we can, and as citizens, I think we all try to support those things as well.
Maybe one or two more. Anybody want to speak against arts and culture? Now is your time.
I think everybody knows that I like, you know, older buildings, older vehicles, machinery and stuff like that. So I'm certainly in favor of saving the heritage of our town and arts and culture and stuff like that. And I think what we may have to, I think we're going to see some major changes coming because, as I said, I'm neutral on this, but I think that the adventure tourism is going to start to affect this town. And there'll be pressures again to, you know, tear down old buildings like the Scout Hall, you know, that was in the way, I think was in the way of the sewer line. I would have tried to save that. But I think, you know, we're going to be getting some pressures here, so it's up to us, I think, to, you know, protect the heritage of the town, and everybody knows that I would stand in favor of that.
Last word, Michael.
I think our arts and heritage in Kaslo is a real gem. I think we've got really talented people here. I'd like to see us take art shows further out. I've had artists when I was an art dealer. I've had a restaurant, and my own family's gotten grants for artwork. Yeah, I'm sure if you haven't, she's looking for pictures of Kaslo. You need to